Unfinished business. I like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, are you mad or what?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's a question you've asked. So
Yeah. Are you?
I think it helps.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it helps. I don't know how it came about. I know how it came about, but it wasn't my plan or my intention. I didn't foresee this happening.
Yeah.
But it happened.
You mentioned somewhere that he was the one that got away. Your big regret was you never got to fight him, yeah? And then he suddenly said, well, I'll fight him. Is that...
More or less. I mean, it came about with it was a Vegas radio called me and talking about my career, and there was other boxing correspondents on the station. I was saying how lucky I was, my career, you know, I happened to get the breaks, which a lot of great fighters don't get the breaks.
Yeah.
It went well, and I was very happy, you know, a couple of things went to my disadvantage, but worked out to be my advantage, you know, as time went on. I said, but there's one fight I wanted, and I couldn't get, and it was against Roy Jones, and I spoke to him about how I went to his backyard, I sat in the house with his managers, I climbed into the ring and challenged him. I said, but he ran. I said, if he was a coward, I couldn't do anything about that. So, you know, he has to live with that. Obviously, he had got a report or heard the radio program, and he obviously made a comment that he would do X, Y, Z now with me. And I said, well, of course, this was passed on to me, and my reply was, if Roy Jones thinks that I've gone soft in my old age, he's making a big mistake, because I'll do it to him now what I would have done 15 years ago. And he said, well, if you want to, I'm willing to fight you. And I went, okay, let's get her on. So it's just happened.
Okay.
And,
so the history between the two of you is, you reckon he was always running away from you. You were a great champion in your day, but you wanted to fight him, and he was too chicken to fight you, was it?
I wouldn't put it as strong as that. I mean, you know, I mean, I could be fighting. I don't want to wind them up too much.
Okay. I'm new to this kind of thing.
We both were around. It was a great era of boxing when Marvin Hagler was around and Sugar Ray Leonard and these guys, and they retired, and then we kind of filled the void a couple of years later. And we both kind of... I was based in the United States, and I came back to the UK, so I was well established over there. I was US champion. I followed the title back to the UK because Eubank and Ben brought it over here, and I finally got my chance, and I became world champion. And he was the top dog in America, that side of the ocean. I was the top dog over here, and we fought everybody except each other. And it was the natural fight to happen, and I wanted it, and I've done everything in my power for it to happen, but he wouldn't have it. So I said, well, I guess he's afraid, because he knows I'll beat him, and it's a lot of money, every reason for it to happen. And if it doesn't happen, it's going to be a great fight that never took place. And I've always said that. Yeah. 15 years on, I'm still saying the same thing.
And do you think you could beat him? No, we have a picture of him there, I think. Like, he's a tough guy, yeah?
Oh, yeah.
And he's still fighting, right? How old is he now?
He was 44 last week. He's scheduled to fight in March this year. He's going to have one more fight, but that may be knocked in the head now if our fight is signed.
Okay.
Yeah, he's tough, but, you know, he's only as tough as you allow him, really.
Okay. There was a friend of mine who knows boxing and stuff. He was talking about, did Ricky Hatton came back? Did he? Had a comeback, haven't been out of the ring. He said, like, when you haven't been fighting, are you that fraction of a second a bit slower until you've done a few, you've had a few fights and you kind of...
I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. I mean, obviously, reality is, I mean, you are getting... I'm not old. I'm in between. But I have a lot of experience. I have a lot of knowledge of the game, and I know how to fight. You know, and I know how to carry myself in the ring. I've never taken a beating in my life. I've fought for 25 years non-stop at every level, and I know how to take care of myself.
And are you in good shape?
Funny enough, I was very ill over Christmas. I was in America, and there's a flu bug going around. I think 16 people died in Boston. So I'm over that, and I start back training last Monday.
Yeah.
And I'm absolutely buzzing. I've never felt so good in all my life.
You look good, yeah.
I'm waiting to see me in 12 weeks' time, you know.
Yeah.
I'm gonna, you know, I feel absolutely wonderful, yeah. Thank you. You know, I'll never get this chance again. I mean, who could turn this down? At this stage of my life and my career, I didn't expect it. It's come about, and it's a fight that should happen. And this is our last chance to do it, and I am up for it big time.
And what stage is that now? So we've two willing fighters.
The stage is that now, I mean, I contacted him by phone, I rang him, and I spoke to him, and I said, right, you know, let's get this on. We more or less had an agreement. It's going to happen. You know, I said, look, let's split it down the middle 50-50. I said, you know, I can still make light heavyweight. He said, well, I can't. I said, well, what weight do you want to fight? He said, let's make it 190 pounds. I said, whatever you want. It suits me fine. But we're going to get her on. And he said, if the deal is right, he'll have it. So he obviously has a figure in his head of how much money he wants.
So there's talk of £1 million purse.
Well, there's all sorts of
Okay.
There's paper talk. A lot of it's rubbish, but you know, it's good. It's publicity. I'm careful what I say because they're writing paper still, you know. But
Yeah.
I read, no, there's no offers, concrete offers yet. There's a very strong interest now from the Middle East, which looks like a contender. But now there's a Russian element coming in because these are places that have money and want to get involved in promotion and want to get the publicity. So it's out to tenders.
So busy fight for them.
It's out to tenders, and if the offer comes in, that's right. But let me go a step back. I mean, I'm doing my medicals now, and if they're not 100% right, I won't even entertain the thought of fighting again.
So you haven't had your tests yet, no?
Oh, I've had tests done. I mean, I always get tests done. I take care of myself.
Yeah.
But I'm going for stringent tests now for my license.
To get the license, actually.
And I'm confident I will get them, but if there's any doubt there, it won't happen.
Am I right in thinking that you nearly came back in, was it two years after you retired in 99, right? You were coming back, and that was ultimately to fight Jones as well. And
Possible,
you didn't go ahead that time because of health problems, yeah?
I was on my own in London. I was separated, and with the lads, we were out one night, and we went straight from London to the gym.
Okay.
I pre-arranged to go to the gym, and we shouldn't have been in the gym. And I had a splitting headache, and I said, I stopped halfway through the training session. I said, I don't feel good. My head is thumping. And someone called an ambulance. It was the doctor came in. Actually, I went to a neurosurgeon, met with him. He checked me out. He said, everything's fine. He said, but why are you considering a comeback? And I said, well, I couldn't really answer it. And he said, I follow your career. There's a guy called Callahan. I remember him because it was an Irish name. And he said, well, I followed your career. You had a great career. He said, there's no need to make a comeback. Why endanger your life and you know, risk everything when you've done really well? And I wanted to hear that. And I said, yeah, you're right. Forget about it. There's no point in coming back. So I didn't. But of course, the newspapers jumped on it.
Okay. But so this time, presumably because you're that bit older and everything, is it more of a danger like that? You might get a bad bang in the head or that kind of thing?
I don't think that way. Yeah. I don't know. I mean, I think he's only a couple of years younger than me, so I'm well rested. He's probably a bit he's probably shop worn.
Okay.
But I don't feel that way. I mean, that's just my mentality, you know.
Yeah. And you never did no damage to the head or any of that kind of thing?
I'm tempted to say something. Any brain damage I got was not in the boxing ring. It was outside the boxing ring, but I won't go there.
Gotcha.
No, I'm fine. I'm
right,
very, very healthy. I mean, I have a farm in England.
You're a farmer?
I've been farming for 10 years in England. I've got my own farm.
You're not?
I am, so yeah.
What kind of farming?
Well, sheep.
You're a shepherd.
I used to
Steve Collins.
I'll tell you a quick story. Right? We used to have a
Yeah.
couple of hundred ewes. We used to do lambing. I haven't done lambing for 5 or 6 years because I came home one evening and I walked into my living room and there was 5 lambs on the couches. And my wife and my kids were feeding the lambs, bottle feeding, because obviously some lambs, the mothers reject them and you have to work on them. But I wasn't there when that happened. So they're in the living room and they're being bottle fed, and they had names. And 3 of them are still there today.
Oh, okay.
So no more lambing. I just get what we call mules, a mixed breed of sheep. We get them in, we fatten them up, we sell them on. I try and give them a good life while they're with me.
And so you're living a kind of a pastoral kind of country?
And farmers say there's no money in farming. They're right. There's no money in farming.
Really, no?
Yeah, absolutely no money.
But if you're kind of happy doing it.
I love it. My wife and I run the whole farm ourselves. We don't employ people really. We get help the odd time, but we like to do things our way. And it's hard work, but it's great.
But you're a city boy, and you would have never had much of a connection with the country.
Well, I lived a couple of 100 yards from a huge cattle market, and I've been riding horses and worked with horses since I'm 12, 13 years old.
Oh, really? Okay.
Race horses I worked race horses my first job. I've actually ridden in races, so I've always loved the outdoor life, and I've always loved horses. So
fabulous.
Yeah.
So listen, the fight, when is it going to be? When are we
Well,
hear?
we've had one individual was talking about putting on in June. I wanted sooner. Another guy was talking about the end of April, which is quite soon, but that suits me fine.
Okay,
so
you'd be ready by April.
Oh yeah, I'll be ready. Yeah, I'm in training now. I mean, I'm just looking at my skint knuckles. I'm already hitting. I'm training hard now, and I keep stepping up each week. I've got a program in my mind mapped out. I'm planning how the fight's going to go, and we're just waiting for obviously the results of the medical. And a promoter that makes an offer that's acceptable to Roy Jones and also to me. But if he's happy with it, I'll be happy with it.
Okay. Steve, you were one of the great champions from a great era of boxing. I think a lot of people would like to see this fight happen. I hope it does, and you're going to kill him. Ladies and gentlemen, Steve Collins.
Thank you.